Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Let's first start in basically what is HIR. Ram and Sharon, as we discussed earlier, can you guys tell me at least something what is FHIR? Well, it's a modern standard to exchange healthcare data electronically. Yes, exactly before. Like this, data exchange doesn't have any security protocol. With 0.2.0, with that we get data is secured. Yes, if 2.2 is implemented in FHIR. Yes, exactly. Like it can store most exchangeable data. We have HL7 which stores very strict data. Yes, yes. FHIR stores data and it's very fast and flexible. Exactly. Correct. Yes, you got it. FHIR is basically the most precise standard now for storing healthcare data. Not precise but most efficient and interoperable standard now present in the market, developed by HL7, which is capable of storing any data which is present now in the healthcare industry. FHIR is developed in this way that, let's say, if there is an outbreak, a new disease, a new variant is found. That resource can be extended to store all of the information which has been recorded till now for that outbreak. How do we store that? Basically, we use extension for that. Within a resource, we have some extensions, and with the help of those extensions, we can store all of the data. Getting my point? FHIR is basically the full form of FHIR is Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources. As the name suggests, it is the interoperable resources. Why they are interoperable? Because they can be used for the seamless data exchange between two systems. Let's say if you want to develop a system that is capable of reading data from HL7 v2 and converting it to FHIR. FHIR gives the privilege to basically make the data self-sufficient to be interoperable and promote the seamless data exchange between both of the systems. You can easily understand the FHIR resources and also easily store and get the FHIR data from any FHIR server. Getting my point? FHIR is the only framework. It uses RESTful APIs or else other framework use. FHIR is the only one in HSN now. As we saw, HL7 v2 deals with message types. HL7 v3 deals with EC. If we go to this thing here, if I show you with a friend who kills HL7, that's a sample. These are all version 2 messages. If you can see on my screen, these are all sample HL7 messages which will be useful for your decoration. Let's see if we can find HL7 example. You see, this is the H7 message. This is in the message structure. And this is the V3 message. And this is basically the characteristics of V3 message and how it is decoded, basically in XML format like this. Getting my point? Basically, the HL7 message was more of a stricter format. If you see, there is a tag if let's say this tag is missing. Or let's say this tag is misspelled. Even if this tag is misspelled or missing, this whole XML will fail. This kind of strict it was. And this data was not always used by many. If you see H7 let's decode this type of message. If you want to basically decode some of the things you can, just by looking at the V3 message, you can try to decode it. Let's say if you want to see something like processing code, there will be a tag for processing code. Let's say if you are dealing with this in FHIR, there will be processing code resource, but in H7 we will have a processing code tag and the code is basically H. Basically, if you want to find the processing code value, we will go to the processing code tag and find the code value here. Let's say we want to know the acknowledgement code. We will go to the accept acknowledgement code value and we will see the value of this accept acknowledgement code tag. This code is basically ER. We got the value. Now let's say we want to get the receiver value. We will go to the receiver tag. We will get the code that is the RCV. RCV is the receiver of this message. Getting my point? Similarly, if you let's say we want to get the sender value. The sender is, we need to go to the sender tag and then find the type code. The value of the sender is S-NUN-D. Getting my point? All of the information is basically embedded in this XML type. This is H7 message structure. This is how H7 message will look like. And if we compare this with FHIR, I think there is no FHIR example. That is fine. Basically, FHIR will deal with the JSON format. You are already aware of the JSON format. Basically, in short, H7 will deal with message type which we solved. H7 will deal with XML which we saw the structure now. Do not worry about H7 because H7 is never really used much. There will be not many questions on H7 You can directly say to the interviewer that I had never worked on H7 But if you still want to cover it, that's fine. H7 is also a simpler version. We can debug, we can decode the XML part and all. But that's fine. And then comes the FHIR, the most efficient and the most reliable one now in HL7. Basically, FHIR supports RESTful APIs. By the help of APIs, we will get the data, whichever data we want. And to get the data basically from RESTful APIs, we will need an access token. There are 2.0 access token. Getting my point? Any confusion or doubt in this guy? The access token or 2.0 or something? Great. Coming back to this, FHIR was developed by HL7 International. As we already know, HL7 is the parent of all the different runs of HL7, that is V2, V3, CDA, CCDA and FHIR. And FHIR was designed for modern healthcare data exchange. Why modern healthcare data exchange? Because let's say as I said, data is emerging and there are new outbreaks and all. To basically revolutionize the data. Let's say if a doctor is dealing with HL7V2 message. He must be aware what are segments, what are fields and what are basically the subcomponents, components, what are the different key segments. That is MXP IDVN. If he is dealing with H7V2 message, this is the case. But if he is dealing with HSR message, he can directly see the JSON response and get the insights out of it real quick, without any hard and fast knowledge, basically. By just getting a basic knowledge of JSON, he can decode HL7, HAR response. That is why it is called a modern healthcare data exchange language. FHIR also supports RESTful APIs. Is not only supports RESTful APIs, basically FHIR is RESTful APIs only. FHIR deals with RESTful APIs only. There is no other APIs other than REST APIs which will deal with FHIR. One more thing is that before Rusty API introduction in FHIR, we were using SOAP APIs. If you can note it down somewhere. Before FHIR earlier, when all of the hospitals and all were not using RESTful APIs. The previous version of APIs was SOAP APIs. So, most of them were using those. But everyone now shifted to RESTful APIs. There were some disadvantages of SOAP APIs. That was really not considered. And we always considered the RESTful APIs part only. The SOAP APIs, we can say it was negligible. We do not connect into FHIR. Basically, we always say that FHIR supports RESTful APIs. Getting my point? Yes, one more thing. If you can have a read on SOAP APIs, that would be great. Just read about SOAP APIs, that's fine. Do not worry about what are SOAP APIs in FHIR. Just give it a short read. What is SOAP API? How does SOAP API work? Now coming back to the FHIR part, FHIR supports RESTful APIs and RESTful API supports two types of responses. That is the JSON and XML. We are already aware of the JSON response. We saw how a JSON response looks like. It is a kind of dictionary only. And we also saw the XML response. Getting my point? FHIR basically focuses on ease of implementation and interoperability. FHIR, the main motive of FHIR is do not complicate things. Do not complicate things. Keep it simple and stable and secure. This is the main motive FHIR keeps in mind, and basically we get the responses out of FHIR. By keeping in mind this motive only, FHIR basically keeps it simple. By secure, what I mean? Basically, FHIR uses over 2-daughter protocol. It is the most secure one now. and understandable. Do not complicate things. The structure is easy enough and simple enough to be understood. Getting my point? If we see a sample FHIR response, if I can show you 1 second. Is she able to see my postman? She is not. You are able to see my postman now. If you see here on the left hand side, you might always be wondering, why do I have many of the collections of REST APIs? These are all the EHRs. One is APIs, one is Advanced MD Athena Servo Equilinear Works. And all of them deals with FHIR APIs. All of them deals with HL REST APIs. Let's say if you talk about this thing only. API deals with FHIR APIs, the REST APIs. And this is how the API response look like. The JSON response. If you see, this is the JSON response. It is not converting to XML. That's fine because we requested JSON only. And where do we request the JSON data? In the headers. If you see, we have accept applications /JSON. Basically, we told this API that we will accept the response only in the form of JSON. Getting my point? Let's decode this URL first. Can you tell me what this URL looks like to you? It is a vendor services of API.com. And it uses over 2 kilo. And the API HL7 version of FHIR. Yes, exactly. And patient ID. Yes, the patient resource basically. And these are the query parameter. The question mark is the query parameter. Basically, it will be denoted as we are trying to get to the FHIR version of patient, where this is basically the question mark will be treated as where ID is equals to this. Getting my point? And let's see if I had one more query parameter. I will add an and is denoted by this one, and name is equals to Prashant. Like this, I can query some of the resources. Getting my point? Basically, by looking at this URL, you decoded it. We are basically trying to get the FHIR resources of a patient where ID is equals to this. If you see, we have the response here, and the response is in a type of bundle. Getting my point? What is bundle? Do you know what is bundle? The resource type bundle. Bundle is a set of what exactly? Or a group we can consume. Yes, we can say that. It is a set of resources only. Let's say we have some of the resources. If you see here the resource type is patient. If we minimize this, we see that it contains total one resource, and that resource is the patient resource. If we want to keep other resources as well in this, such as provider, such as goal, such as medication request, what we will do? We will create a bundle out of it. Let's say for a patient, we have some of the resources, that is the patient resource. We have provider resource, We have goal resource. We have HRA resource, that is health risk assessment. We want all of this information from a patient basically in a single response. What we will do? We will keep all of the resources into a bundle and return that bundle. Instead of querying a single AP, again back and forth, what we will do? We will query you a single API which will return us all of this information into a form of bundle. The bundle, you get it. What bundle is it? It will contain all like a bundle of resources, basically. Getting my point? Any confusion or doubt in this type? No question. Is it clear enough for you, or should I explain you again? No, please come again. Question report. This is the resource type bundle, and in resources you see resource type is patient. Let me show you one single patient response first. This is also not single patient. If you see, I am querying a patient with the help of its patient ID. Here I am querying a patient with the help of its patient ID. I am getting a single patient because I am specifically assigning the ID in the URL that I want this ID only. I want a patient. I want a patient resource from FHIR for this patient. Get me all the details of this patient. If you see the JSON response, we have resource type as patient. The ID is the one which we pass in the parameters, and it fetched us all of the details for this particular patient ID. The name was Cadence Anna, family was Cadence, given name was Anna. Her gender is female, her birth rate, her address, whatever detail was there on the FHIR server. It fetched me with the help of this patient ID. This one. For now, if I am doing only a single resource, that is a single patient, it will get me a resource type of patient. Why? Because I specifically told the server that I want only the patient resource first for this patient ID. It returned me a resource type patient with all of the details. But let's say if I want to get the patient with the name Cadence, in the response, do you see I have a bundle here? And in bundle I have again the resource type as patient. Getting it? Why is it? Because if you decode the URL, I am requesting a patient where name is equals to Cadence. Let's say there are 100 Cadence in a response. Let's say there are 100 person whose name is Cadence. Getting my point? Name can be repeated one. Name can be carried out by anyone. Even your name can be Cadence. Even Charan's name can be Cadence. Even my name can be Cadence. Let's say sorry. Here we can add another ID. There will be different identifiers for the patient. Yes, we are adding a name. Yes, we can add age is equal to 24. We can also add date of birth. We cannot add that is called birth date. Birth date is equals to 2012. Something like this. We can add different parameters as well. But for now we included name is equals to cadence. Instead of giving me a single patient response, what it did was it gave me a bundle of patient response. It said to me, it basically returned me that if you see here in entry, we have all of the responses. It returned me a total of 1 response. If you can see, we have only 1 response here in entry. It returned me a bundle. It said to me, take all of the patient whose names start with cadence. Even if I cannot return you a single patient entity, do one thing, I will return you a bundle of different entities. Let's say it contains a patient resource type, or let's say whatever resource type you want. I will send you that only. Getting my point? Yes, but when we were seeing the patient with the help of ID, we were getting a resource type as patient. Because we were seeing where we were fetching a singular entity, a single patient with the specific ID, and only one person can have this ID. It gave me the response that the resource type is patient. But let's say if I'm fetching a patient with the name and the name can be carried out by anyone. Name is not an identifier. Basically, a unique identifier name can be carried out by anyone. What it gave me, basically all of the responses. If you see, the resource type is patient here again. But it kept me the resource into a bundle. It basically said to me that I'm giving you a bundle of this resource type patient for all of the patient having the name cadence. Let's say there are 100, there are 1,000. Even if there is only one resource, it will give us a bundle only. Getting my point? Because we are fetching it clearly here. We are not giving any unique identifier here. We are using the query parameters. We are querying the data. Getting my point? Any confusion or doubt in this, guys, now? Sorry, any doubt, any confusion, guys? Great. Let's move on to our next slide, that is the structure of file documentation. We have the base structure in that we have the home base. We cannot see the slide structure. I'm not able to see the slide, sorry. You're able to see it now. We will be now looking into the structure of file documentation. In file documentation, we have a base structure. We have a home page where we have overview and key concepts. We have some signification guide extension. Let's not talk much about that. We will directly go to the file website. This is the file. This is how the file website looks like. Have you guys went through the file website before? At that time, what did you explore in the file website? Can you tell me? We just opened this documentation. This one. And that's it. That's fine if you see the first thing, the first line. This is the HL7 FHIR Release 5. If you see this here, it will tell us which of the version we are using now. And for now, we will be using R4 version. Let me quickly go to the R4 version. I use the URL, but you see here the page versions. These are all the versions available of FHIR. This is R22. R2 is nothing but TU. This T22. And then we have R4 version, R4 beta, and then R5. We will be majorly dealing with R4 version now because that is the most stable one now and the most used one now. If you see, we are now navigated to the release 4, that is the R4 version of FHIR. Getting my point? And these are all. This is basically the home page of HL7 FHIR R4 website. Here, first thing first, here are some things. That is, are you the first time here? If you see this dialog box first time here, and it will prompt to see the executive summary, the developer's introduction, clinical introduction, architect introduction, and then FHIR overview or roadmap. Do not worry about all of these things because these are not that much important for a first-time comer. These are all for the, let's say, if you are a FHIR developer already. You will see something like the clinical introduction, the architect introduction. All now coming back to the main thing, that is the FHIR resources interpretation. We have different levels defined in FHIR. The level 1 is basically the R foundational level, in which we have some documentation, that is the base documentation. We have XML data type, it will teach us about the JSON data type. We have some data types of FHIR and some extensions. Let's go back to the thing. Implementation guide, extensions, we have customization options. The home page, we saw what is the home page. In the home page, you will see overview and key concepts. Somewhere overview and key concepts. You will find it here. If you move on to the overview, it will give you a FHIR overview basically. The insights on FHIR overview. It is just a reading stuff. If you can go ahead and read this later on, you will understand the FHIR overview thing. And we have implementation guides and all. Let me see if that is important. We can cover it or not. We have some navigating tips here. Let's say I want you to go to the gold resource. Let's say I want you to go to the patient resource. How can you basically do that? What I will do is I will basically search for the resource. Let's say if I am asking you to go to the patient resource. Here I can search for it patient and it will take me to the resource patient. Getting my point? This is a simple navigating technique, or either you can find the resource here. If I search for patient, a patient is popped up here. If I go to the patient, it will again take me to the patient resource content. Another one more way to go to the patient resource. We can directly search for the patient resource FHIR. it will take us to the patient resource FHIR. It will again take us to the patient resource FHIR. Similarly, let's say if I am asking you to navigate to any other resource, let's say gold resource. What the first thing you will do is, you can navigate to the gold resource in many ways. You can directly go to the URL bar. You can type gold FHIR. Oh, I misspelled it. Gold FHIR R code, and it will take me to the gold resource. Resource gold, and these are all the contents of it. Getting my point? The navigating part simple enough. Now you might be asking, we are navigating, but what we will be navigating exactly? If you see, here we have many of the resources like patient resource, practitioner resource care team, device organization, location healthcare service. And then we have some record keeping resources. They are clinical resources, diagnostic resources, medications, workflow, financial. As I said earlier, for each and every operation, for each and everything you need in healthcare. For that specific operation, we have a resource in FHIR. Even you are getting transferred to a hospital, even you are getting treated by a practitioner. Even if you have some allergies, some medication allergies. All of the things will be recorded into a FHIR resource. And these are the FHIR resource. Let's say patient. The patient is one of the FHIR resource practitioner. Practitioner is also a FHIR resource. Care team is also a FHIR resource here. Getting my point? For each and everything recorded into your medical history or needed into your medical procedure, there is a FHIR resource for each one of them. Getting my point? Let's say there is some observation which let's talk about encounter. Encounter, you know what encounter is? Can you tell me what encounter exactly is? Patient visits a hospital and consultation with the doctor. Yes, the doctor treats him. That is an encounter for a patient. Let's say I want to know the encounter for a patient. How can I know that? Basically, will there be an encounter resource for it? Where all the encounter details will be stored. In the chart. Sorry Charan, your voice is not that clear. Not in the ECHR. Let's say we want to. For now we are looking into documentation. Let's say we have some encounters with the doctor and I want to see the encounters. How can I basically? Is there any FHIR resource for encounter? Can you see any FHIR resource for the encounter on this page? Can you find it? Clinical. Let's see. Does it comes under this one? You are asking about that. Your voice is breaking, Charan. Sorry, what were you saying? Can you come again? Can it be stored in? You are asking about the data type or else? Know the encounter resource itself. Let's say I want to see the encounter. And I am aware that my encounters will be stored. Can you tell me where I can find the encounter then? Clinical level 4. If, let's say, your resource is not visible on this page, but still you want to find the resource, because there is a resource for each and every action you do into the healthcare industry in FHIR. What we will do? Basically, we will navigate to the Encounter FHIR resource. If you see, resource is Encounter, and these are the contents of Encounter. Getting my point? As I said, Encounter, I took the example of an encounter. Basically, to tell you that everything you see here is not the only information you will find in FHIR. There are more than 150 plus resources in FHIR. For each and every, I am repeating again myself, for each and every operation you do, there is a FHIR resource for it. Basically, let's say if you are dealing with encounter also, you will find an encounter resource, which you will not be able to see on this screen because, as I said, there are more than 150 resources in FHIR. And you cannot present all of them, but how you can navigate to the resources? By searching for it, or let's say by searching here. By searching on the search page or by searching on internet. If I say encounter, then it will again take me to the encounter website. Getting my point? Now you know how to navigate through the resources. Yes, Mr. Prakash. And there is one more navigating tip, basically for you guys. If you are visiting any page, which is most common, let's take an example of encounter only. If you are visiting, let's take an example of patient. Always bookmark this tab, otherwise there are two things. When you will navigate to the FHIR resource, navigate to the FHIR website, basically HL7 FHIR. If you see, when I navigated to HL7 FHIR, it took me to the release file version, and release 5 is almost looking similar to the release 4. You see here, this is the release 4 and this is the release 5. Similar enough. The only difference you will find here is the release 5. Here a small release 5 which will be noted here and in the URL. Here it will be release 4 and in the URL it will be R4. Always bookmark the tab which you were on. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be an issue with the versions. If you see, this is the release 5 patient resource. And if I open the patient resource from R4, this is the release 4 patient resource. Getting my point? Always, if you are working with a version of FHIR, always bookmark the tab for that specific resource. Otherwise, if you will go again and search for it, and if you miss to type release 4 version or let's say a particular version which we were working on, you might face some data mismatch issues. Always bookmark your tab which you are using and always check for the version, the release version, which you are working on. Let's say if you are working on release 4 and you search for patient resource FHIR and it took you to the release 5 page by default. Because it will open by default release 5 page only. And there are some new elements added into the release 5 which are not present in release 4 and you map the data according to the release 5. There will be always mismatch of data. This is a common mistake which everyone makes. That is why I am highlighting it here. Getting my point? This was basically the FHIR documentation overview. Again, in short, you can navigate through the FHIR resources by searching for the FHIR resources online or by searching from the conformance tool here. Also, you can find the documentation here for different things. Let's say if you want to get the documentation, if you want to read something more about data types, you can read it from here. Or let's say you want to read more about differences to release 3. You can read more about here. How you can manage multiple FHIR versions. All the documentation are here. It's just a reading stuff. That documentation is honestly not that efficient. Because they are all reading stuff and not that updated frequently, to be honest. And there are these resources also, which we can find here. All of the resources which you can see. And if you find here encounter, as well we will find encounter. Let's say, if you want to see all of the resources on a single page, you can move on to the Resources tab and look at the resources. And some more things about this documentation. I think this is fine for this documentation. We already know how we can navigate to the resources. And more of it. We will learn it where we will learn about more in depth of the resources. FHIR is like an ocean fishing. There is a lot of things to learn. Yes, definitely. There are a lot of things to learn. We thought that it's just a small thing. But there are a lot of things. No. FHIR is a version in itself. Within FHIR, there are different versions. If you can see here the home page, we have DSTU2, DSTU3, R4. Where is it? DSTU3, R4, R4, Beta, R5. We are majorly focusing on R4 because R4 is the most widely used now in FHIR also. And there are 150 plus resources in FHIR. This is not a small thing, I can say. There will be coming up 3-4 lectures for understanding FHIR itself. For now, in today's session, we just went to the FHIR documentation. What exactly how we can navigate to the resources where we can find some of the things which we require. What is the difference between the Release 4 and Release 5 documentation? Some navigating tips I gave you. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.